Hello, everybody, and welcome to the best session at Build, if you don't mind me saying. Now, this session is all about how Microsoft Graph can help your Windows applications be better for your users and how you can accelerate the development when you're integrating with Microsoft Graph and how you're authenticating users. Now, my name is Nicola, and with me I have Michael. Hey, Michael.
Hi.
Now, we're a couple software engineers that work on open source toolkits, toolkits that help developers accelerate their development with whatever they need. For example, we have the Windows Community Toolkit that helps developers for Windows development on UWP and .NET, as well as the Microsoft Graph Toolkit that helps developers on the web to integrate with Microsoft Graph.
And I'm Michael Hawker. I'm the maintainer of the Windows Community Toolkit. As Nicola said, really helps .NET UWP developers. We have tons of helpers and controls, really kind of making things a lot easier and just more fluid to use, whichever. If there's something you need, it's probably in the toolkit. Look there first is kind of my mantra. So just really excited to be here today and talk to you more about what we can do in the future for Microsoft Graph.
Exactly. So to accomplish our goal of sharing how Microsoft Graph can help your application, we'll split up this into 3 chapters. In the first chapter, we'll show you some examples of how Microsoft Graph can help your applications and what are some integrations that other applications are doing today that are making lives easier and better for users. Then we'll dive into the technical bits of how do I authenticate users, how do I get them to sign into my applications, and what are the benefits of that. And then finally, we'll show you what are some of the Microsoft Graph integrations you can do within your applications. And we'll have a demo for you that shows you some of the things that we've done into one of our applications as well. Now, the first thing is how do you enlighten your applications? Like, what are some of those experiences? I want to give you examples of what this means. For example, we want to make sure that these experiences that you're building inside of your applications remove friction that your users might have when they use a specific functionality. If a user has to switch between your application and a different application to accomplish a task, removing that friction and embedding that experience into your applications can help increase the convenience for your users so they can stay directly inside of your applications. You can also simplify the workflow. So that way they don't have to remember, okay, what application do I need to start up? How do I integrate? If the data just shows up into your experience and your application gets out of the way for the user to get things accomplished and it just works, it's going to make your users want your application more, and it's going to be better for you to get more users who are constantly coming back to your application and staying longer within those experiences.
So we're going to show you a few different apps that are using the Microsoft Graph and show you how they use these experiences to delight their users. So Ambi is an app within the Microsoft Store. It's a universal Windows platform app, and it runs on PC and on Xbox. And what they did is they allow the user to sign into the application and to seamlessly sync and roam their settings across devices. So it's a sound app. It plays white noise. It's something that's pretty common these days. People use for meditation or sleep aid or for focus. And now, since the Microsoft Graph lets it sync all those settings just across their devices, the user's downloaded sounds or custom mixes of different sounds together can be shared across those devices. So if they set them up on their PC, they can go on their Xbox, and it just follows them wherever they happen to be. And it's just something that happens. It's great.
Exactly. And in the same similar vein, Vegas Stream is a Win32 application. I think it's built on C++, but it's an application that's used by video producers who are streaming content to vast majority of users. And they also use it in scenarios where they have customers who have organizations with lots of users or educational users where they need to pull in that data inside of the stream. For example, in this case here, they can pull in data about who is speaking on the stream, and they can simply add that into the lower third by a click of a button instead of having to type that information in from Outlook or wherever the data lives. Similarly, if let's say there's a conversation happening on Teams, this data could be pulled in directly inside of the application, and the producer could click a button on a message to show that message directly in the stream. And Vegas Streams allows you to do this really quickly to users so they can quickly produce content without having to enter this data and switch between Teams and switch between Outlook or whatever other applications to bring that data in to the stream live. And finally, Squiggle is a progressive web application that runs on Windows. that where they use Microsoft Graph to produce content and collaborate on content that they produce as part of this experience. But for me, instead of me actually talking about it, we work with Squiggle for them to create a video of the integration with one of their partners.
We can all name dozens of reasons why virtual collaboration is crucial to our success. See, at JB&A, we serve movie studios, broadcasters, and corporations who deliver TV projects, events, and training videos. With COVID-19, as more events turned into virtual events, and with a more compressed timeline, we needed to more quickly enable our sales team to learn and perform. JB&A Exertis uses the Squiggle platform and its Windows app to create content, like our NDI video, leveraging Squiggle's straightforward, rapid content creation abilities to achieve a more impactful presentation. Now with the latest update to the Windows app, it integrates more beautifully than ever into our Windows environment. For example, we leverage our own organizational data for a truly seamless and collaborative experience. I can invite people that I frequently work with, add people from my Microsoft Teams channels, and share creative content from OneDrive files that I'm already working on, without ever switching apps or slowing down. It's true efficiency in content creation and teamwork.
We help citizen developers create efficient and intelligent content so they can achieve more. Thanks to Microsoft Graph, we were able to develop and launch this Windows app to market in a matter of weeks. Developer tools such as Microsoft Graph Toolkit and PWA Builder, when used in any Windows 10 application, bring remarkable acceleration to platform efficacy. Microsoft Graph has significantly enhanced Squiggle's rapid, straightforward animation engine through its effortless integration with other M365 apps. Our roadmap has more advanced implementation of the Graph Toolkit on the way.
Empower collaboration and teamwork at speed and scale. We can only imagine how this will transform the future of learning.
I really love the work that Squiggle is doing here. The integration that they've done so users can collaborate really quickly without having to switch experiences and they stay longer in their application just makes that so much more delightful for their users. Now, we are hoping that these three examples that we shared are going to get your brains going, get those gears spinning in your head and thinking, okay, maybe I can do this in my application. And these are just some of those experiences you can try right now. You can go to the Microsoft Store or download the experiences from the web and try them out in your experience to see how these things work and give you an idea of what are some of the cool things you can do with your applications and how you can delight your users with the experience that just makes their life so much easier.
And that's really the key point, Nicola. Like when these features are missing from applications, like users are going to complain, like, why can't I connect to my document? Why can't I, tie in my colleague here? It's these when you enrich your application with these experiences that it just delights users. And then they might not call it out like, oh, this app is really great, I really like using it. They might not pick up on it because it just seamlessly connects to the rest of their environment and their workflow without them having to jump back and forth to all these different apps. It's just tied into their mindset of how they're trying to work. So it's the type of thing you might not get credit for implementing, but you'll definitely get dinged on if you're not integrating those rich experiences into your app these days. It's just kind of become this expectation from users that applications are enriched and connect to their lives. And so it just really is going to be that key differentiator that really delights your users, right? And makes them happy to use your app without maybe them even realizing why that might be the case. So the really core piece of what starts us on this journey of creating these great experiences is the Microsoft Identity Platform, and this is what lets us not only connect to these experiences on Windows but any device platform, and it's the same technology that we're using on our own applications here at Microsoft and that we're providing to you as third parties. So it's the same technologies, it's the same APIs, it's all built together, and it's all built on top of enterprise-grade security and management. So whether you're a big business or educational institution or just writing an app for consumers, it's all using the same great technology, which has this great security behind it. And so it's really just fast and easy way to get users to sign into your app by using Microsoft Identity. Users don't need to create a whole nother account to do this or pull in another account. Like they're already using Windows 10, and you have to sign in to be using your computer. And so we can just leverage that account that the user's already signed into to connect it to your app. And then this is going to open up access to Microsoft Graph, all those APIs, and you can even use it to secure your own API. So if you have your own backend, you now have this identity of that user that you can tie to their data within your own systems. And then finally, this is going to work anywhere. We have SDKs for different programming languages and for different platforms. And so, whether you're writing web applications or Windows applications in, C# or C++, like there's SDKs available that hook into Microsoft Identity and the Graph SDK as well, so that you can connect your applications to these enriched experiences. So we're going to show you now how easy it is to integrate these into your own applications. So here we are in Visual Studio. I've done a file new C# UWP project, and I've already added some NuGet packages here. So I just did that by right-clicking on the project and doing Manage NuGet packages. And so I've added 3 packages from our community toolkit. So as Nicola and I mentioned before, we work on open source projects that help kind of provide some nice glue on top of our system APIs to just make it easier for you to jump in and get started with these libraries. So there's 3 different ones here, which all provide different functions for us. The first one is Community Toolkit UWP Authentication. This hooks into the operating system APIs that provide that great experience for just signing in with the user's account on Windows. Then we can also tie into the graph after we have that. And so we have a graph package here, which helps us tie in our helpers into that world. And then we have controls on top of that, which then provide, for instance, a login button, which will just make it super simple for us to drop that into our application and get our user signed in. So all these 3 packages together are going to work really well in our application to get us that sign-in experience for our user. Now, the only catch with using the built-in operating system APIs is that we have to associate our app to the store. And if you want to ship outside of the store, or you're using a different type of Win32 application, you can use the Microsoft Authentication libraries, and that's what this other package here is for as well. But to associate with the store, it's super simple. We're just going to right-click on our project, go to Publish, and Associate App with Store. This is going to tell us a little bit info about the store here, but I can just click on Next, and then I can type in a name here. So I can say Build 21 Demo Auth App, and I can reserve this name. You can see I've done a couple of tests before. This is going to go off the store and start registering this name of our app to the store so that it can act as the backing authority to authenticate our users with. So once I've done that, I can just click Next and click Associate, and that's all we need to do. And so now we can develop and test our app with the built-in APIs. So to start using those, I just go to app.xaml.cs. And I just have to add a couple of lines in here. So the first one I have here is just a list of scopes that I want to ask permissions to be able to use. So this one is user.read. This is about the user's basic profile information, like their picture and name. And then I'm going to set up our helper that we have in the toolkit. That's what this global provider is, to our Windows provider. And this is going to do all that magic to hook in to those operating system APIs to give us that just fluid login experience for the user. So once I have that, I'm going to go over to our main page XAML and just plop in our login button here. So I can just use that from our graph control package that we added earlier. And then I'm going to be able to run this application, get a sign-in button, and log in the user. That's all it takes, those couple lines of code with those packages and associating the store, and we're all set to go.
What I like about associating with the store is that you don't have to go to Azure portal to create a new client ID, right? The whole association with the store creates that for you behind the scenes. So if you are doing that work already, you're already done. But if you do want to do this in, let's say, a WPF application or an application is not associated with the store, you can always use the MSAL libraries to do that. It's going to pop up with the pop-up, and you're going to have to username and password to do that.
So you can see here that we've got the sign-in button. Just as Nicola said, it's going to pop up now, and we're going to see our accounts. And so I can just click continue, and now it's going to pop up and ask me about which permissions this app wants, right? So this is just a first time thing because this app is new to trying to access my account. And it's just asking me, hey, I want to read your profile. That's it. All the power about security of the user's information is in the user's hand, right? An application can't just go look at contacts or emails without asking the user's permission to do that first. So I'm going to click yes here. And then this is going to just sign me into the application. And we're going to see in a second here that it's got my name and my user icon. And now, bam, my app now knows that my user is logged in. And that was that, just those few simple lines. So now let's say we want to go actually get some more data about this user now that we've asked that permission, right? So I can go into my app's main page.xaml, and we can actually make a call out to the graph itself. And we'll explain a little bit more about what the graph is and what it can do for you coming up here in our talk. But if I just add a few more lines here, we've got the provider manager that we had set up before, and we have an event here, provider updated, which is going to tell us when the state changes. And so can I actually just check to see if we've actually logged in now in this event. And so at that point, we're just going to grab the graph off of the global provider here. And then I can use, now basically this is the graph SDK from C#. So this is just connecting to the existing ecosystem. And I can request data about my users. So that's what this me object is. This is the actual user. So if I set a breakpoint here and then rerun this app, well, we're going to be able to see those details from the user now. And what's really great about the authentication libraries is that they remember the tokens, right? Like it's going to remember that the user had already signed in. And so it's going to automatically sign our app in right away when it starts this time. So the user doesn't have to click that button again. It's just going to remember that they were signed into my app the last time. It's going to remember that they gave my app permission to all this stuff before. And so now once it logs in, it's going to hit this breakpoint, and now I can actually see all these details of the graph user. So if I scroll down here, we can see like the display name is our dev demo account. And I can use the similar type of API to go grab whatever other type of data from the graph I want, as long as the user has given me permission to do that.
Oh, yeah, that was a great demo, Michael. Yes, I completely agree. You know, integration with identity is so cool. Now that we've actually have identity going inside of our applications, we can access the Microsoft Graph. Now, Microsoft Graph is an API that exposes all of these different endpoints and all of these different entities of data that users might have in Microsoft services. Things like Office 365 or Windows 10 or Enterprise Mobility and Security Suite, all these different endpoints that your users might be using have data that you can access out of your applications. Whether it's users that are in a corporate environment that might be using Teams or Outlook, or there are users that are in educational environment that might be using assignments and classes, or they're consumers who are using OneDrive or ToDo or anything in between. You can use Microsoft Graph to access any of this data. And the best part of this is you don't have to go and register multiple app IDs to access this data. You don't have to go use different SDKs or different documentation. Everything is one place, and everything is off of the Microsoft Graph endpoint. So one thing, if you want to learn more about Microsoft Graph and to remember here, is the graph.microsoft.com website. That's where you find all of the documentation for everything. You can spend days reading on all the different APIs that exist on Microsoft Graph and how you can use them. That's where all the getting started and quick start guides are. So if you want to learn about how do I use Microsoft Graph and authenticate on UWP or on my WPF application, or how do I do this inside of my iOS application, etc., there's quick starts for that as well. And this is also the endpoint for accessing Microsoft Graph. You go to graph.microsoft.com/API, and you'll be able to access all of those different APIs. And I mentioned this, but I do want to make it a point. There's thousands and thousands of entities on Microsoft Graph that you could use. I mean, we could spend days talking about each one of these. And there's a lot of things that can benefit your applications. Anything from the most popular things like OneDrive that we've talked about and we're going to talk about, to tasks, to emails and calendars, to classes, to lists on SharePoint, to planner APIs, to things about people and who are my closest people, subscriptions and security. There's all kinds of things that you should go and check out and see what you can use inside of your applications. Now, as we were thinking and planning for this session, we don't really like slides. Michael and I, both of us are very much, let's do code, let's do demos. So we thought of like, what is the demo that we could do to best illustrate how developers can benefit from using Microsoft Graph inside of their application? And we started from what we use ourselves on Windows today. And we had some ideas, and the one that we one is for note taking. Me personally, I use Notepad a lot for taking notes. I don't know how many people are, and I wish I was in person to ask, so you can raise your hand. But I assume it's also others are doing the same thing. But there's things that I want Notepad to do. Things like, hey, I want my data to roam, and wherever I go, if I go from one device to the other device, it roams my data with me, my notes. Or hey, if I do a to-do here, and then I go to the to-do application, I want it to also sync up with that as well. So we built a demo that shows how you can actually build this application on UWP, and how you can integrate authentication and Microsoft Graph there as well.
Thanks, Dikla. Yeah, so we're going to basically kind of continue off where we left on our last demo. So you can see here I've got my scopes for the permissions that I want to ask from the graph. And we've added a few more here to our array. So we're asking for permission to read and write to OneDrive with the files. And we're going to do some stuff with tasks as well, the to-do items. So we're going to add those here. And then we're just calling our Windows provider, initializing those with the scopes, just as we did before. So you can see in our application, I've already signed in. I've already granted those permissions to this app. And so I have my simple note-taking app here. So I can say this is going to be an awesome demo, and llamas are cool. And so I've added this note here, and you can see down at the bottom, we've got this little sync status here. And so if I actually go over to OneDrive now, every application can set up its own storage in OneDrive as part of its own little special folder. And so we can actually go into this note here and see that that text that I just wrote in my app is up here already synced to the cloud automatically in our application. So this is really powerful stuff.
What happens when we change the llama to a giraffe? I'm just curious.
Yeah, of course. You always want the giraffe, eh, Nicholas?
Yeah, of course. I mean, why llamas when you can have giraffes? Everyone agrees.
There we go. Giraffes can be cool too. And so I think I might have to refresh the page here up on the website. But once it's synced,
there you go.
There we go.
Okay, I know it's real now. Okay, good.
Yeah, you know it's real. It's a live demo. And so we can actually go into our code here and see how we do this. And so if you're familiar with the Windows Community Toolkit, we've had a local storage helper for a while. And so we actually patterned off that same interface to create this OneDrive storage helper. And so in our application, we can cache things locally if the user's not signed in, or if they're offline, and then when they are online or signed in, we can use this roaming storage file with the exact same pattern, save off the file. We just serialize our object model to JSON and load it, and that's it. We're pretty much just doing the same code we would before anyway in our regular application, but now that we've got that sign-in capability, we can save that to OneDrive as well. So really, really powerful stuff. And as we mentioned, we also added to-do integration here. So I can actually come in here, I can type in to-do, and I can say, I should finish this demo and put my little llama. And so here I've got tasks, right? I can add in here, here's another task. And these are actually creating tasks up in the graph. And to show that, I've opened up the actual to-do application here, and you can see automatically these tasks have been created. And if I go check off this task, once it syncs up to the graph, that task will automatically be completed over here. So now you're not only integrating and having these great experiences in your own app, but you're connecting to the rest of the ecosystem that user is going to have on their machine or even on their phone, right? If they've loaded the to-do app on their phone, everything that they're doing in this Note app on their PC is going to connect to their phone as well. So really, really powerful stuff. And it's just as easy to connect to these APIs as all the other ones we've been showing. So here's our task to-do item code. I've grabbed the graph client here as well. And we're checking like if we've already, do we have an ID of a task? And if not, are we going to search and try and find what tasks we have? If not, we're going to create a new task. So we we set up the title of the task based on the text that the user entered. And then otherwise, for instance, when I'm completing a task that's already existed, we can update the task. So we have all the abilities here to look for existing tasks, to add new tasks, to update tasks, just with a few lines of code from the graph, just based on all those identifiers that we've kind of been keeping track of in our application. So just a few lines of extra code give us that powerful ability to sync with this ecosystem and really create enriched experiences for our users.
That's right. And what I really want to highlight here is that we're using data that the user already has in Microsoft Graph, or we're leveraging Microsoft Graph to integrate with all these different services that the user is already using, right? So if they want to complete their tasks on their phone, just like Michael mentioned, they could do that. But everything is kept into the context of this note-taking application. So the user doesn't have to switch between the Notes application and the To-Do application to be able to complete this thing. Same thing with the OneDrive thing. As a developer, I don't have to spin up a whole service to be able to create this roaming experience. I could simply use OneDrive and keep the data on the user's OneDrive. The user gets to store data themselves. I don't have to create any policies around storage and privacy. It's all the user's data, and the application just leverages that across experiences. And actually, I was able to steal the same account that Michael's using. Sorry, Michael, I was able to steal that and build a web app that uses the exact same data that the note-taking application created and create an experience on the web. So this is the same experience that just works the same way. You can see this is the same thing, and I can change this, and I can already change it to llama. I can say I agree. And I can also complete the to-do task from here. So I can put it side by side in the same one, and I can go ahead and complete this task for Michael as well using his account. So it creates a really great experience because now you have this whole ecosystem of applications integrated with my application, and I keep everything into one place. And we couldn't help ourselves. As we were brainstorming ideas of how to build this demo, what are the things we can put in, there were so many things that came to mind that we wanted to share some of those as well. So we had some design mockups made to demonstrate some of the additional integrations that you could do with other endpoints, other entities in Microsoft Graph. For example, you could integrate with files. Let's say I'm taking notes and I'm working on other files or documents at the same time. I might want to put them all into one place. So that way, if I go back to my notes and I want to know what other things I was working on as I was writing these notes, I can have a reference to that file. So I double click on it, opens up side by side. So I have that integration really quickly. I can have that picker that, the graph gives me information about what are the most recent files that this user was working on, and I can quickly have that experience for the user directly inside of the application. Similarly, now we intended this to be more of a personal experience, but imagine this being a collaborative experience where it's in an enterprise or a school environment where multiple people could be interacting on the same content. In those cases, you might want to have a more collaborative experience where you can mention people directly inside of the context of this note. Let's say I want to give somebody access to this note, or I want to bring them into the conversation. I could simply type in @ and start typing a name, and I could have a picker that could display the most people in my organization or my school that I might want to share this with or bring them into this, and kind of have them in line within this content. And you might have seen these experiences in some of the Microsoft own first-party apps, such as PowerPoint. Like when we were building this deck, this PowerPoint, we used comments where we mentioned people to give us feedback, or I gave feedback to Michael to update things. Obviously, nobody gives me feedback because I do everything else. But it's just such a great experience, and we're hoping that the things that we build is going to give you some ideas of how you can do some similar things in your application. And we've open sourced this, and we've put that on GitHub, and you can get that on this link here once you're kind of done with this session.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, our toolkits, we're just building on top of the platform APIs. So for authentication, that's the Microsoft Authentication libraries and the built-in UWP APIs called the Web Account Manager, which gave us that rich, connected login experience. And for Graph, that's just the Microsoft Graph SDKs. And so we're building our toolkits on top of these libraries to really just enrich that experience, make it even easier, just a couple lines of code, as you saw earlier, to drop in and start connecting your applications to these these experiences for your users. And so you can find out all the information about things that we've shown in this session, the links to the demo code, and all these other resources and libraries at this link below. That's aka.ms/windows-and-graph, Windows and Graph.
We're towards the end of our session, but the fun doesn't have to start right now. There's other sessions at Build that are around Graph. So if you want to learn more about different parts of Graph and you want to have more information, please make sure you check out these sessions. There's about 5 of them right now that you can go watch. But you don't have to copy this. We've put everything onto this one link again. So I just want to put this link again, aka.ms/windows-and-graph. That's going to have everything we talked about today and everything we can think of that's going to set you up for success for integrating with the graph. So take a screenshot of this slide. This is the one slide to remember. You also see our beautiful, costumed faces on here as well, and our Twitter handle. So if you have any questions or anything, and you want to give us kudos, you can always tweet at me. If you have any complaints, you can always go to talk to the llama.
Hey.
But yes, we really appreciate you hanging out with us. We hope this session gave you some ideas of how you can integrate with Microsoft Graph and how that can make your experience better for your users. And we taught you how to fish, how it's some of the things that you can do and how to get started. So thank you so much, and we'll see you out there in the Graphiverse or Twitterverse.
We're going to present the Zoology 101 section next, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.